and welcome to Queer and Loathing, the only podcast that has never touched grass and never will.
Amen.
I'm your host, Brett Bodie, and with me are my co-hosts,
Mel.
I'm Samantha.
Yes, they are. And we're here today to talk about a relatively new release. You've probably heard of it, called Late Night with the Devil. So this kind of came on my radar as just like indie horror movies to look out for. And I liked the concept. I'm kind of a sucker for found footage, which this technically sort of falls into. But it really doesn't belabor the conceit, which I appreciate. And then it also got a lot more notoriety, like at its premiere and time of release, for using AI art in several of its cutaways. So it was kind of in the news. People were calling for boycotts.
It's getting review bombed.
Yeah.
I think still.
Yes. So we're going to get into all that. We're going to talk about the story. We're going to talk about the controversy.
We're going to spoil.
We're going to spoil. So spoilers ahoy.
Go watch it.
Yeah, definitely go watch it. If you're curious, go watch it and then come back, because I definitely think it's a worthwhile time at the movies.
I'm recommending it to people. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Awesome. All right. Shall we get into it?
AI. Is it the devil?
Yeah, let's get that out of the way. So, yeah, I really kind of feel conflicted. I don't know how you guys feel.
So to be specific, which parts were AI? I think you
The
told me.
So there are several little cutaway cards that are used when they're going to commercial and when they're coming back from commercial. So like the owls, the little
skeleton
skeletons.
dancing man. And so they're very briefly shown, maybe like 4 or 5 times throughout the movie.
I will admit, I would not have noticed personally if it had not been pointed out.
Me neither.
I didn't even think about it.
I guess kind of my thought is it sucks when people use AI art, because that is like an opportunity that could have been given to an artist. And there are artists who could make stuff like that who will work for cheap, probably what they paid to make the AI images.
Yep.
But part of me is also is that where you're drawing the line at exploitation of labor? There's so much exploitation in the film industry and every industry, and people working brutal hours for tiny wages, and yes, artists kind of are being exploited because their art has been used to train this AI tool that can then generate images for free. But I'm there's so many things that are bad, and I just can't find myself getting so worked up about using AI art.
It is a weird...
But I still don't like it.
It's a weird hill to die on.
Yeah.
As you said, considering Hollywood is just built on the exploitation of basically everyone, right?
Yes. That
was the thesis of Nope, right? Is that it's Hollywood is exploitation. A minute, if that, of all the
It was probably 10 seconds.
Yeah, maybe. I think it was probably a little more than that, because I was literally counting the seconds they were up. But it's very little of it, and especially this movie, which feels so not, I don't know, cookie cutter, sort of corporate paint by numbers movie, and it's a shame that in this one piece it shit the bed. But I don't think that it is something that it didn't impact my enjoyment of the movie, but it is that's a bummer.
Yes.
It's not great, but what I hope, I'm well, if they used it for these portions, does that mean time and attention was spent elsewhere? Did this give better opportunities for other spots in the movies? It's one thing if they're let's just throw it in here. I'd rather not hire people or whatever. But to me, it's different if they're well, if we're looking at the full scope of the project that is this movie, does that mean we can put more time and effort into other parts? Does it mean we can pay other people a little more who are already in it? While it's not great, I don't like it, but...
I think you might be giving them a little too much credit. My guess is what happened is they were finalizing it in editing, and they realized those scenes felt weird cutting away and cutting back so quickly.
Without the transition from
that's my guess. I'm basing that on literally nothing but me just making that up in my head and believing it. But like that's my guess is that
Yeah.
they were like doing like post production, and they're like, someone was probably just like, oh, I can slap together some AI art. I could like,
Yeah.
because I think there was like maybe 3 or 4 images
I think that's
that
what
they
it was, yeah.
reuse, and it's like, well, I could slap that together in an afternoon. It may have been their graphic artists. Like I know there are a lot of graphic artists that are using AI
Yeah.
to create art quicker.
And it's not like there wasn't like an art department on this movie. Like they had
Oh,
sets
yeah.
and,
Right.
it was a very well made
Yeah.
film. Like all the practical elements were great. Yeah, and I'm kind of like, how much can I hate on, I mean, not this was like micro budget anything, but like how much can I hate on like an independent film for using free tools that are available to them?
Yeah.
And a
Kind
new
of outside of like the debate, it's just like, of course filmmakers are going to use free or cheap tools available. That doesn't mean it's like always right, but I understand why.
It's a new IP, which is so meaningful to me because
Yes.
I'm like so sick of seeing the same shit trot out over and over again. So
Yes.
it's like a new concept. It's a clever little concept.
Yeah, and I find it a shame that this movie has caught so much heat when I know of 2 other big budget projects that used AI art much more extensively and didn't get the boycotts and the review bombing.
What are you talking about?
So, well, this was already a hated show, but not because of this. But Marvel's Secret Invasion.
I've never even heard of that.
AI, the entire intro, like title sequence,
Is
was
it?
AI. Yes.
I think I did.
And that's Disney
Marvel
and
creatively
Marvel.
bankrupt.
But
What
like,
a surprise.
But that specific, like they used AI and like
And no
admitted
one-
it and just like
Yeah.
people review bombed it probably because it was bad and also they thought it was woke or whatever. Like I don't know, I didn't watch it. And then
Sorry,
also
DEI.
True Detective: Night Country, which is a big budget HBO show.
Was the intro of that AI?
No, not the intro. There were posters on the set that instead of like hanging an actual poster, they like put in AI art after the fact.
Oh.
So no one is really clear why. What they said was like their intention was like some intern, like in their headcanon, like in the universe, some like intern at this station was just like using AI to quickly make these posters, which is why they weren't AI, because like they were supposed to be AI in universe. They weren't pretending to be like hand-drawn posters.
Okay.
But it's just weird. 'Cause
True
also, like,
Detective
why?
is always kind of, especially that season, is
Yeah.
a little in its own head in ways that I can't
Right.
explain.
And obviously, like, those are kind of different degrees of AI usage and different prominence and different budgets. But I'm just like, that's 3 projects right there that were all pretty high profile that all used AI art. Like, admittedly. And it's just a shame that it's like the indie horror movie that I was really excited for that's catching all the flack. It's a conversation worth having.
Yeah.
Definitely. I do want to protect artists. I like pay someone to do it. Like
And
it'll look better
it's
too.
really important to have that conversation now where
Yes.
every industry is so hyped about AI.
Right.
So it's really like you really need to be, and by you, one,
Oh,
I'm
needs to be,
famously annoying about people saying you at me when it's not about me.
You're
So
welcome.
That's what's happening.
You're
Sorry.
welcome to.
one's welcome
you,
to.
no, you specifically
sorry.
are welcome to let me know when I need to say one. But it's really important right now for one, self or business, to really think strategically about it. Like, what is your intent with AI?
Yeah.
Are you trying to replace people? Because there are people who can utilize these tools and not be replaced. I don't know. Those are my first 2 questions, but it's like it is everywhere right now, and it's also a term just being thrown around.
Oh yeah, I don't think a lot of
Yes.
people even know what AI actually means.
Right. And this is an example of, I believe, what's called generative AI.
Yes.
Where it makes a picture from like a prompt you give it.
It's a
Which
plagiarism.
There's lots of different types of AI.
It's plagiarism machine.
Yes.
It is
Right.
Frankenstein like cobbling together shit.
They
Whether
can't
it's
produce without
Yes.
sources.
it's not
Right.
actually thinking. It's
Yes. Right.
just
Regurgitating.
cobbling. It's cobbling shit together. And yeah, it's like probably it was cheap and fast.
Yeah.
It's cheap and fast. That's why people are excited about
Yes.
it. It produces hallucinations, which is how it got caught. Those little errors. Because it's
Like the photo of
Not that
Trump
good.
praying with the Bible where he has a 6th finger. Have you seen that?
I've seen a lot of these weird,
Yeah.
hallucination images, but it's like it's cheap, it's fast, it's sort of in, as you said.
But it's sort of hot.
It's sort of hot right now. And like, I don't know, as someone who has a lot of graphic designers like near and dear to my heart, it makes me like worried. Because like, I don't know, there's just so many people getting laid off right now because, you know, AI is going to be used to do their job shittier.
Right.
Well, even like they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're a graphic designer, but you're not trained in using AI tools." Like,
yes,
bye. Like that.
I know that's coming. That
I
is here.
see on its way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
of course. No, that's already here.
Like,
that's already here. Is like create.
Or developers like for like programming are being asked to like use AI tools for their coding. You'll be in trouble if you don't because it could theoretically be faster. But it's like, do these programmers know how to use AI for that? Do they like? Then they still have to like check and debug the code and incorporate it.
So that's
like,
what your
is it
job
saving
becomes.
Time?
So your job
Yeah,
just becomes
just
fixing
AI management
it. So like
of,
I will admit I didn't want to pay to get like new headshots done.
Yeah.
So I like got AI headshots and then I had to give it to a graphic designer I know to fix them.
right.
Because it just like
A lot of them were like just a little.
It just was
in general. The ones I saw were.
it was just a
wonky.
little off.
Yeah.
I've tried it and I was like, it's so obvious that
Oh, I didn't
this
even
is
try
not
it.
a real. I did
I
try
didn't
it
even
out
wanna
because
see
a
it.
lot of people are doing it, and I was like, oh, let me see. And then I was like, no, you can really tell that. Well, first of all, it was whitewashing me, which was not cute.
Oh yeah, that'll happen.
Took my dreadlocks and like smoothed them all down, like they were like tight curls instead, and I was like, I hate everything.
It was very not good at non-binary. I will say it was like, I'm gonna give you long hair, and then when I was like, no, make
like
me
femme
a man.
fantasy.
I was like, make me a man, and they're like, okay, you have the whitest shoulders of all time and a beard, and I'm like, okay, you're going too far, too far. But yeah, as far as this movie goes, like, I don't think it really impacted me liking or disliking this movie at all. It's, I think, something we just have to reckon with. I definitely think it was in bad taste, especially considering these massive strikes that have been
This
happening
whole last year
within the industry.
I did think of that. I was like, what was all that striking for?
Didn't the director put out a statement? I was lazy. I didn't read it.
Yes, but I can't recall.
Okay, I'm gonna pull it up.
Please.
All right,
It's
wait.
playing now, and
There's
you're
a
enjoying it.
Variety article. Late Night with the Devil, directors explain using AI art in the film. They say experimented with only 3 images. Oh, they're experimental.
Oh, it's experimental.
They're not gay for AI. They're just
Not yet.
experimenting.
They're just AI curious.
This is a quote. In conjunction with our amazing graphics and production design teams, all of whom worked tirelessly to give this film the 70s aesthetic, we had always imagined, side note, yes, they did a great job
They really nailed that.
on that. We experimented with AI for 3 still images, which we edited further, yes, because they're shit,
Yeah, because you have to.
and ultimately appear as very brief interstitials in the film. We feel incredibly fortunate to have such talented blah, 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 blah. So basically they're saying, like, yeah, we did it, and you caught us, but also we did have an amazing team, which, like, we know.
Yeah, and I think that's the only statement they really could have released once the movie's already out. Like, cat's out of the bag. And, like you don't want to say
yeah.
anything that's going to, like, damage your movie further, so you want to just be like, stand by my team, we did this.
Yeah.
What are they
It's
going to do?
downplay the
Be
importance. Like, we
honest?
experimented.
Like, they're not going to be honest and be like, yeah, we were cheap that one time, and we really wanted to get our film out on time.
Right, so that would damage their movie that they worked so hard on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm glad the conversation came up. I think it's a shame that this movie in particular is catching a lot of flack, although I think flack towards using generative AI in these projects is deserved.
I think what's
Yeah.
going to end up happening, and this is just me guessing, is that big corporations will just continue to use AI because bottom line is always going to be the thing
Yeah.
for like Marvel and Disney, and little indie companies are going to be more scared to use it for at least a
Yeah.
while.
Well, and they tend to have smaller audiences who are also more discerning.
I mean, the people who are going to get really excited about Late Night with the Devil are going to be more genre people anyway. Like, it's not a movie that's like for the family. Like, don't go see this movie with your family, kind of. I mean, maybe you would, specifically Brett.
I would drag my mother kicking and screaming to this movie, and May.
But, like, you know, it's not for everyone.
No.
Like, it is a 1970s, like, homage, like, kind of gross out extravaganza.
Yes.
We barely tolerate fake blood.
Yeah, well, that thing, like, when people use CG blood, everyone bitches online forever.
Yeah.
Which is fair because I also don't like it, but, you know.
Because I also be bitching.
No, I don't be bitching,
Okay,
but I do
in
roll my
your
eyes.
head. Okay.
I get a little annoyed.
I'm gonna just whip up some fake blood.
Yeah.
What could it cost? $10?
Use the stuff from Tremors. It's like orange.
No.
Yes.
I was thinking the other day, I was like, fake blood should cheat darker
It should.
because it just looks better. Like, even if it's like way too dark to be actual blood, it just won't read as like phony in the same way that just like too light, where it's like kind of light red and like see-through, and you're like, it's like water and food coloring.
It might just be that.
It'll ruin the magic.
So let's talk about this movie.
Let's
We
tell.
start out with a narration by Michael Ironside.
Hey.
Which I actually did not clock his voice. I only
neither.
saw later that I think he was the narrator.
He was.
Yes. I was like, am I hallucinating?
Fact check, yes. Community notes say yes.
Now, I'm going to say I do love found footage. I do not think this needed to be found footage. Those were some of the moments where I was a little taken out of the movie, but we can get into that later.
I liked it.
I
Who's
didn't.
Michael Ironside? For those who are me, who are Samantha's.
Are you asking who he is?
Yeah.
He's a Canadian actor who I guess is like most famous from being in Total Recall, Scanners, Starship Troopers, like character actor. I think you would recognize his face.
Yes.
He's going to be at the horror convention that Brett and I attend every year. And
Subscribe to the Patreon to find out which one it is.
we don't have a Patreon yet.
Okay, well, first I'll make a Patreon, and then we'll get you to subscribe to it.
But yeah, it was like really nice because that's a very much like a horror homage. Like casting him is like, this is someone who has been in a ton of horror
Yes,
movies.
it'd be like getting like John Larroquette to do it, who did like the narration for like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then they brought him back for the remake, and he's just like
Yeah.
so associated with it. Yeah, it's just a nice like little nod to genre, discerning genre people.
Yes, the genre sickos, like Brett and I.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do like the setup here, and I love, love, love the sort of framing device of the late night show.
Me too.
Did you guys watch like late night shows?
I did a little bit.
Yeah, I've been in the
and
90s.
As Brett knows, I love Conan O'Brien, but only post his late night show. So
Oh, I
seen bits.
I think Conan is the best late night host like of our lifetime.
yeah.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that.
Yeah. Maybe ever. I don't know.
I'd watched enough to know. Like, I wasn't watching, like, these, like, I'm not watching reruns of, like, 70s late night shows. Not that I haven't seen clips, like I have, but... So, to me, it felt very authentic, because also I didn't necessarily know any better, and there was nothing that, like, took me out of it. And I loved the framing of, like, it's kind of a documentary at the beginning that, like, talks about this man's career,
Yeah.
and gives us little hints for later that you don't quite pick up on
I
at
loved
first.
the hints, and I loved thinking about the hints later.
They did a really good dropping in some hints and backstory without spoon feeding, while still giving like a very clear picture. Like if you're like a lore person, you get enough from this movie to put the piece together. And, like you can basically say what, at least for me, like what happened. But I loved that they kept it kind of vague enough that like it's not
The
they're not
hinting
spoon-feeding
about
it
his
to you.
wilderness cult shit, really, I
His
was like,
Bohemian
ooh,
And
Grove.
I'm
just,
excited.
just Bohemian Grove.
Right,
I'm
Bohemian Grove,
excited.
famously, yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't subtle
No.
which wilderness cult it is for rich and famous people. It was just Bohemian Grove.
They just called it the Grove, I think, in the movie. But I was
Yeah.
like, I know which Grove you're talking about.
Alex Jones knows.
Yeah, so for those listeners who don't know, and maybe Samantha, you might not
Maybe
know.
Samantha.
I'm no expert, but it's like it's an actual like organization that has like basically a campsite and all these like
Men.
powerful men. And it is men only. these powerful men go to meet, and it's like world leaders and CEOs and
they famously wear robes and do little occult
Yeah.
ceremonies. And it is something that like a lot of famous like celebrities and politicians were known to go. And I was joking about Alex Jones because he like broke in and got kicked out. a
funny.
rare, very cool moment from
a rare Alex Jones W.
hey, you know, if you're gonna utilize Alex Jones, that is like the only good way to use him
You're
is to
right.
like sick him
Be a
on
battering ram.
the people who probably made him, you know.
Yes.
But no, it is a real place filled with like cosplaying dorks.
Yeah.
Is just the way that I see it.
And sure, I'm sure handshake deals do get done there, but I don't feel like it's like an international cabal of like calculated like mind control.
No, I literally
Because I don't think anyone is competent enough to do that. I just don't
No.
believe in anything like that because people are stupid and blab.
And those are the dumbest people. I just
Yeah, right.
I just imagine like Richard Nixon lying down while all of his like, you know, other Bohemian Grove people are around him with their fingers under him going light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Yes.
Light as a...
I feel like it's just like, cosplay like some like spooky summer camp.
That
for
is
grown-ups.
my assumption of
Yeah.
what it is. Maybe I am wrong, but I don't think so.
But I still enjoy it as a device in this for just
Oh,
like
yeah.
shadowy organization with occult symbolism.
And then they didn't have to go into it too much because, you know, if you already know about Bohemian Grove, you can fill in those gaps yourself. And if not, then you can
And
just
if
leave
not,
it to your
I still
imagination.
was like, I pick up on the vibe, and it's spooky, and I
Well,
like
you
it.
probably pictured something not that dissimilar to what we described. You know, like spooky organization, something.
What I always suspected these men
These men.
in power get up to.
Yeah. So
I'll
I
never be invited.
yeah no because they still don't allow women. I think.
I just googled. They
No,
sure
Yeah.
don't.
no, never. No, so like the time. So basically, the timing is right. Is that his wife? He's doing okay. His wife gets sick, and then
And his wife is a famous actress, right?
yes,
Like stage actress.
a
I
stage
believe?
actress.
Yeah.
And then does he go to Bohemian Grove before or after she dies?
I think the
think it
timeline is unclear. I think it was before she dies.
Yeah.
And then he
But we don't know if it was
disappears.
before he got the show.
But then he disappears for like a month, and then comes
Yes.
back to the show.
Post-death, yeah, and it's now his 6th season, and the night we cover is during Sweeps Week, which for those who don't
Right.
know, that's like the most important ratings. Like that's make or break for a show, especially back in the day. Is like you have to get high ratings to be renewed, and it all comes down to Sweeps Week. Like you have to nail it during that week, or like you're canceled. And so he's very much like on the precipice. Like he could be rocketed to more success because he's his show's doing pretty well. He just hasn't. Was
Yeah.
it dethroned with Johnny
It
Carson?
was Carson.
Yeah, which, yeah.
I appreciate that they also just said Carson.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because again, it's like shorthand
But we all
for
know, yeah.
like if you know who that is, then you can fill in the gaps. If not, it's just the guy who's the best at this.
And you can imagine, like, maybe there was a late night show that I didn't hear about from the 70s because the one you heard about was Johnny Carson. But yeah, so it's like he is desperate for ratings. This is like his comeback post his wife's death and presumably his own like kind of mental breakdown. It didn't go into it, but like obviously he disappeared, just like dropped off the face of the earth for a month. He probably wasn't doing great.
Well, I think as the viewer of the movie, you're supposed to think he had a little menti break, but then later, you find out maybe he did something else,
Yeah, or it was both. Which is
or maybe a
kinda what I thought.
lot of column both.
Yeah, that's just kind of my takeaway. But yeah, so it sets it up as this like kind of documentary at the beginning, but it doesn't belabor that, and then it goes right into just footage from this broadcast, this Halloween special broadcast during Sweeps Week. And so it goes between these are the on-air segments, like as they were filmed that night, and then when they cut to commercial, this is like auxiliary cameras like still filming.
And I will say that is the one thing I didn't like, because when you set up found footage and you have cameras that are in places they would never be, recording something they would never record, like I don't want to nitpick, and again, it didn't ruin the movie for me, but when it's like close up, crisp camera of people like talking backstage, having private
talking about
conversations.
personal stuff.
Personal
They would
stuff.
like be like, "Hey, can you not film this?"
Yeah, like that for me, I'm like, okay, like I know why this is here and I don't hate it, but there are always those moments in like some found footage movies where I'm like, fine.
It
like,
did it did kind of bring me out of it. I was really enjoying it, and I was like, okay, I'm in it. But yeah, those moments, I was like, would this be recorded?
Yeah, and it was, I
Is
guess,
this
just
what
a
we're
necessary
doing?
evil, because if they did like the ad breaks, just like normal conventional film format, then they couldn't have had the documentary framing device, which wouldn't necessarily have been bad.
I mean, they
but-
could have. You just would have been missing a lot of the backstage stuff. Like, we wouldn't have known about.
yeah, I don't know if-
They would have had to change the format of the show itself.
Yes.
To like let us know about things
to
like
deliver that information. during
someone
the show.
dying or like tensions. Like, I get why they do it, and I
Yeah.
don't necessarily think I would change it, but it was something that I noticed and it kind of bothered me.
It didn't bother me a ton, but it did occur to me.
It bothered me more than the AI images.
Yeah, I give found footage extra leeway, especially one that is good.
Yes, this was a good movie overall. And I will say, as someone who did watch a lot of late night shows and has watched older late night shows, like, you can really tell that they wanted this to feel authentic to that. Like, the way it's set up where you have, like, the sidekick and the live band and the way that, the guests still sit there and can
Yes.
be, like, annoying to
And
other
then one guy had
guests.
to like get up and like let the other guest have his seat at one point, which
They
I
all
thought
have
was
to
funny.
shift.
Yeah,
And he
Good
got,
shift.
and he got, like, you could tell he was, like, freaked out and he sat in the wrong chair and then caught
Yeah.
himself because, he's a professional. And it's, like, a
Yeah.
little detail that, like, I really appreciated.
And I gotta say, I found, not sure how to say his name, David Desmalkian, whatever, very credible as a late night host.
Yeah.
Like, who's
Yeah.
struggling, not at the top of his game.
No, it didn't feel weird to me. I mean, definitely he himself was off. And then I was like, where did I see him before? And I was like,
It was
it
nice
was
seeing him.
The Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
He was
Okay, when
Polka
he
Dot Man, and he really
was
killed
great in
that.
that
He
too.
was great. in Suicide Squad. He was in Dune.
So he always plays weird
Part
little
one,
guys,
yeah.
right? So he's, like, been playing, like, weird, like, character actor
Yeah.
roles. Like, he was in Dune, he was in Blade Runner.
Yep.
He was in
2049.
Yeah, the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was in The Boogeyman, which is a movie I really loved. Not a lot of people agree with me. I think I bullied Brett into watching it, and then I saw your Letterboxd review. It's, like, very tepid.
Yeah, I didn't hate it.
I just love, like, little tight clever movies that have good gimmicks. I love a gimmick. So, like, he's been around, but, like, this was his first time playing, like, a sort of normal guy.
Yeah, like leading man role.
Yes. And I was really, like, I think he did a great job.
Me too. I've been a big fan of his. I just think he's great, and it was nice to see it. Like, that was part of the reason I was excited for the movie. Also, he gets a lot of credit for me because he's been a guest judge on Dracula.
Dracula, like, more than once.
Yeah. And I just appreciate that he, like, just, like, engages with, like, the queer community and drag and, like, horror artists. And I think it's cool that he, like, sometimes paints his nails black. And I just, like, think he's a cool dude.
Yeah, I think he was featured on some of the, like, documentaries through Shudder as well. Like, he's very, like, into...
Oh, yeah, he was, like, the 100 scariest movie moments or whatever.
Yeah.
He had some good stuff to say.
There are some actors that you can tell just sort of, like, grimace as they look back on their horror roots, and I doubt that he...
Oh, no, I think he loves it.
Yeah, I think he loves it.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed his performance. And I found the movie surprisingly, I would say, kind of stressful. Like, I really felt the tension, and it really sustained that for me, because I just really felt like, how far is this going to go? What's going to happen? Like, I feel like any degree of, like it's going to take a bad turn, but it could take any degree of bad turn, and I have no idea what it'll be. Just not going in with expectations, I was just like, this could be the craziest shit ever, or relatively tame, or
And I was
open-ended.
mostly really ready for it and not too scared, but I did get very nervous at one point.
Yes, it was very funny. So Sam and I saw it together, and even though we were very good about not discussing it afterwards, we were sitting next to each other, and when the Mr. Debunker man, Dr. Charlatan, was, like, doing his hypnosis and being like, relax. The more times he said relax,
Tighten
the
up!
the more she tightened
not
up.
relaxed.
She was such a ball of tension during that hypnosis scene. And it was really funny because just like literally every time he said the word relax, it was the exact opposite happening to my right.
I was just so clenched. I think my
Just
eyes
fully
were
clenched.
like partially open because I was like, I need to watch, but I need my eyes a little bit closed just in case I got to close them all the way. And I was like, don't you dare relax me. I'm ready.
And I was like actually trying to relax. I was like deep breathing.
Oh, you
Like,
wanted to get hypnotized?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'll go with it no matter what. I'll say Candyman 5 times.
No,
Like,
don't
Well,
do that.
yeah, Candyman is fictional.
But what?
Tulpa.
That's another episode, but yes, we'll talk about Tulpas.
But we should talk about like the layout of the show. So, like a real late night show, it has multiple guests in an order. So we start out with the intro of saying who the guests are. We have our sort of sidekick guy who I thought was excellent.
Yeah,
he
he
did a
was.
really good job. Then you have the opening monologue with some of the jokes. It's Sweet Week, blah, 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 blah. And then we have, in order, we have Chris Stowe, the sort of cold read psychic guy.
Yes.
Then you have the Mr. Dr. Charlatan.
Yeah. Mr. Debunker Man.
Mr. Debunker Asshole.
Carmichael the Conjurer.
Yes. Basically, like, what's his name? Like, Penn from, like, Penn and Teller.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's basically, like, someone who did magic and then just, like, says everything else. There's no real magic, whatever.
And he is offering like a reward to anyone. Like he has been. It's not just for the show, but he's been
It's
offering.
like $100K.
Did
Yeah.
it changed?
It changed.
It
went up to
changed in the
500, I
movie.
think.
Yeah, it went up to $500,000.
Yeah.
I noticed.
I did notice.
I'm math illiterate, so
Because I was confused, and then they just stuck with it, and I was like, whatever.
No, they
Again,
he purposefully was
did-
like, "Oh, I'm upping it."
Oh, did he? Okay, so I
which
missed
makes
that.
sense because he was getting so aggravated. Like
he was getting
clearly he was
pissed.
like really pissed
So
and
then,
really smug.
oh yeah, no, he was great.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Everyone was great.
I hated him. He really nailed it.
He nailed it. Then you have the doctor lady
Yes.
and the girl, which is, I
Lily.
think that's a reference to that book where that therapist,
Michelle remembers.
Michelle remembers. So I
Yeah.
think it was kind of like that.
Should we explain Michelle Remembers briefly?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that was a book written, when was it, like late 70s, early 80s? I think it was
Satanic
late 70s.
Panic
Yeah, it was
times.
sort of one of the main factors that launched the
off,
Satanic
yeah.
Panic. This woman, she was a grown woman in real life, and her therapist, like he was doing repressed memory therapy on her, like recovered memories.
And if I remember correctly, they got married after this, which is very professional
No, I think
relationship.
they did. Yeah. So he was like doing this like memory regression, and so she was like uncovering all these quote unquote repressed memories of her being like ritually abused by her parents and grandparents, and like blood sacrifices and killing babies.
Satanic
and
cult with like
satanic
dead
cult.
babies, snakes.
And we're talking like not just that, but like wide conspiracy of people in her
Yes.
life who all did this like in secret, and it really caught on. And they did the talk show circuit, and that launched like the McMartin preschool trials,
Yes.
and so I've kind of have a
Oh, my
fixation on the
gosh.
Satanic Panic because I just find it so insane.
People are real dumb.
Yeah, but people really believed that there was just like this huge cabal of Satanists like sacrificing children in like secret rooms behind daycares. It's what Pizzagate used to be.
I was about to say, it's like the ping pong pizza, or whatever the hell that was
Yeah,
called.
Comet Pizza, I
Yeah,
think.
comic
Ping pong pedophile pizza.
pedo pizza, Hillary Clinton.
Podesta.
Yes, and I like that about this is that it kind of is hearkening back to Satanic Panic sort of characters.
Yes.
Like you have the people who are like making money off it, like your Christo, who's like, it's okay, Jesus is on my side, but ghosts,
Yeah.
your loving relatives
So you
want
can,
to
like,
say it's all good.
Engage with this spooky stuff, but you can still feel righteous and good about it. And like, you're not one of the Satanists. You're just a good Christian having a fun time.
I mean, when we grew up in the 90s, there were so many of these charlatans who would do these cold readings to like stadiums.
yeah.
So like it was,
Or what is it, Long Island Medium?
I mean, yeah, so it's still a thing, but I was thinking of like
2000s.
Miss Cleo would do like phone readings.
Yeah.
And then there was that guy whose name I cannot remember, John Edwards
I don't know.
or something. That like he did them too or something. I don't know. There were all these people who did stuff
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, you have like all these archetypes, and then you have like musical act that never happened.
Oh, that was actually really funny.
We kept waiting for the
right.
musical
He kept
act.
bumping her to the end, and then I was like, we're not doing it. We'll reschedule.
No musical act, which I thought was funny.
They showed her like ready to sing too at one point, and then she just never got to.
Which is funny. It was
Yeah.
very funny. So we start with Christo, and he does like a bad read.
Yeah, like kind of bombs.
Did they imply that guy was a plant? The first guy that was like,
No, I think
No,
they
he
more
was-
implied that the mother and daughter were
Yeah.
not knowing plants, but they were interviewed.
well, that's
in the
what
lobby
Dr. Shithead,
Well, they said it too.
found out because
Yeah.
he was questioning them.
Yeah.
And I was ready
So
for
they
them to
weren't
be obvious
plants,
plants.
necessarily, but like they were.
Because I thought there was a
they
moment.
did give up that information.
I thought there
before.
was a moment backstage where they were saying that they had planted that guy to be funny, but like I don't know, man.
Oh, I missed that.
I,
Yeah, I
I
didn't
might
catch
I might
that.
be misconstruing that. But yeah, so like, and then of course Christo, like always happens in these
Yeah.
movies, has the real moment.
Right. Yeah, so the first
Yeah.
one bombs. The second one he nails because it's the mother and daughter, but it's like
Still
then
clearly
hello,
fake.
yeah,
it's
it's
the
so
real
clearly
one.
fake. Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm overcome by the spirits," and like he's having like a full like episode. He's really this is the grand finale.
Where he's in pain.
Yeah, well, like just where he's like starts to be like, "Oh, what's that last?" Where the host himself is like,
Oh no, I thought
Yeah.
that's when he was ready to leave at that point. I don't think he planned that.
No, he did not. No,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
He did
yeah.
not plan that.
Yeah, he didn't plan that one. He was just like actually got the spirit.
He got the tingle.
entered him. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when he like started
Tingle.
looking really sick and like got subdued after that reading.
Yeah,
Like,
he
when the
looked like
spirits
shit
left.
after
Yeah.
that, which
Yeah.
is great.
And then it really had a great payoff to him looking like shit. Because after the break, right, he comes back.
Well, he
and that's the
throws
next
up
guest.
on stage.
Yeah, it's when the
on
next guest
to
is on.
Oh yeah, you're right. On shithead guy.
Yeah. So David the Debunker or whatever his name was
Yeah, he gets a bunch of puke on his
comes
like
on. Yeah,
nice
he's
coat.
like, well, I was a magician. I was Carmichael the Conjurer, and now I'm debunking and blah blah. Paranormal's all fake, and he did a cold read, and this is how it works. And Christo's next to him, just like kind of pissed, but like mostly just
So,
sick and
like,
fighting for his
yeah.
life because he's clearly dying. Yeah, and then he like gets up to leave. I think he's trying to storm off.
Well, yeah,
'cause
he's
he,
like, I
gets
don't
trapped
need
by
this
the-
shit.
Yeah, he can't like get off the set, and then he like falls and just vomits like
black.
gallons and gallons of just like
Yeah.
black goo, and it's
It's the opposite of a Ridley Scott.
yeah, he was just full of like black inky darkness.
Yeah.
Me too. When I try to exit a room and I get stuck at the door, you just have to turn around and just vomit. The
It's
black
just a
stuff.
natural defense
Vomit until
mechanism
you
for the body.
die.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we find out later that he did. He was rushed to the hospital and like died en route, which makes it like, because you're kind of like, well, it really doesn't seem like he's faking this like sickness thing. Like he didn't seem like he was faking his like being overcome reading, and then he really wasn't faking being sick and like expelling like an inhuman amount of just like mystery evil fluid. But yeah, especially when we hear that he died, we're like, oh, shit is really maybe getting very serious on this show.
So more about shithead guy. So I mean, what was his name?
Carmichael the
Carmichael the Conjurer.
David the Debunker.
David, Mr. Debunk Man.
Dr. Skeptic.
Yeah, Dr. Skeptic. I like that he was there because you have to have that guy there.
And I love that like he was so unlikable. He was so like, even though like I'm more of a skeptic like myself in real life, like I just think like smug skeptics like that are so annoying.
They're so annoying, but I want to be annoyed by them. Like I don't want a skeptic to convince me.
Oh.
I just want them to be an asshole.
Yeah.
So I can be like, you're just a Debbie Downer.
Yeah, I can easily dismiss you because you're just,
Yes,
you don't like anything.
like you're.
I feel the same way about like smug atheists sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's great to be atheist,
Smug
but like,
anythings.
shut up. Right? Yeah, yeah. If you're just smug, shut up. That's my take. All right. Well, shall we break for
Oh, an AI card?
Yeah. So
Oh,
we have
yeah.
an interstitial experimental AI card.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do
I
it.
think so.
All right. Great.
Okay, so everyone, this episode was brought to you by Coke Milk,
No.
Yes, Coke
no.
the sweet little treat you need to meet. This beverage is ready to caffeinate you, spike your blood sugar, but also give like a little extra little treat feeling from that creamy goodness of that milk. So find your Coke milk at a store near you. Quick disclaimer, you will need to buy your Coke and milk separately. Recipe to
start
follow.
continually.
Oh, recipe to follow if requested. And please remember to continuously stir.
I hate it. And we are back. Hope everyone enjoyed their nice, refreshing Coke milk, unless you're a normal human, in which
was
case
so
you
good.
certainly didn't.
It's weird.
So
I
good.
I drank it and then I threw it up.
Yeah, it was a lot of black
violently
goo.
that I died.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was very
if you-
surprising, I thought.
If you forget to continuously stir it, it does run that risk. So be careful.
Yeah, so
That's
Mel is
like
joining
a-
us via seance from
Yes,
the afterlife.
I actually
but
died, and
yeah.
now I'm just here.
A lot can happen in a break. Luckily, we had the cameras rolling during our ad break to
Yes.
capture every moment.
With nice, tight shots
Yes.
on people's faces, crisp and clear. So yeah, so we have, jumping back in, so we have Mr. Critic Guy, Christoph the Creative. I don't know why his name is just rolling off my
No,
Carmichael.
brain.
it's better that way.
Whatever. So,
Stop the creative.
whatever. Guy is being so good at what he was on this, like, in this movie to be.
Yes.
Like, everyone played their part so well.
Agreed.
I was glad they killed off Christoph pretty early because
Mm-hmm.
I thought his character was kind of like, could have been annoying.
Could have been very one note.
Yeah, as he stuck around. And then we have the stars of the show come in. We have the psychologist lady who we see has some kind of personal relationship with David Dalsmalkian?
David.
Oh my God, names.
Jack Delroy.
Yes, Jack Delroy, a host. They have some kind of personal relationship that was not in our opening.
Yes, it was
Narration.
not. It was not disclosed to us during the documentary intro at the beginning. But clearly, there is some, personal relationship. It seems more than platonic, but no details are given, and like, there's nothing.
So
they're
what
not
was
making
the
out.
first hint? Was it where she was like, "I need to talk to you," to Jack, and then he's like, "Oh."
To me, it was
talk
the
to
way
her."
they were talking to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like maybe an arm touch or something. It
Yeah.
was some kind of body language where I was like, okay, they know each other,
Like, this is
and at least one of them
unethical.
wants to bang.
Yeah.
Yes. And then there's, I almost called her Little Girl, but I want to say that I am very grateful
Yeah.
that they did not use a little girl. They
Yeah.
used
Yes.
like
Yeah.
a teenager.
She was like 13 or something.
Yeah,
And
13,
great.
14.
And also it makes more sense because just like, not that like this is real, but like in parapsychology, like poltergeists and stuff will happen around young women as they like go into puberty and start menstruating. Like that's
course.
that's literally like when the like psychic activity happens.
It sure does.
It sure does.
So it made more sense for her to be that age than to be a little girl.
Yeah, and also I'm sick of it.
Yeah, and it's much less annoying. And you can just get like
Yeah.
a better caliber of actor often. And like this girl nailed it.
She was
She was really
awesome.
good. She was so creepy.
She was so creepy. The way she just kept looking straight into the camera and smiling.
Yeah, because she
Yes.
wouldn't really make eye contact with like Jack or like anyone. She was just
Well, she would talk directly to him, but like to the camera.
yeah. She was addressing everything to him, but looking straight into the camera, like smiling.
And it was different than how they normally show like little possessed girl.
Yeah. And I like that she was creepy from the beginning and wasn't just like sweet.
Yeah.
Right,
and then
right.
Possessed.
She's
like-
already all wrong.
And we find out because her backstory, right, was that she was like the only survivor of like a cult murder suicide.
Yes, they
So you're
play
like,
a
no
tape.
matter what, she's fucked.
Yeah,
she's
so
fucked up.
she has definitely like received some form of abuse. She is the sole survivor of this horrible event. Like grew up in this like evil Satan house.
Where everybody killed themselves, set the house on fire with everyone in it, and she was the sole survivor. She was carried out. And then I think the idea was that there's like some kind of Pazuzu that because it's not actually the devil, right? It's like some
Yeah, it's like
lesser.
one of Satan's kings or one of the kings of hell, like
Yeah.
a payment or a Pazuzu.
But it wasn't one I had like. It wasn't like Beelzebub. or-
Abraxas.
Okay, so it was one of the ones that's like a heavy hitter.
Yeah.
Abraxas.
But still, I enjoy that more than like Satan himself.
Yeah, I mean it's always fun. hail
And again,
payment.
workplace horror. Sometimes you gotta delegate. If you're Satan, you could delegate that shit.
Yeah.
You don't need a late night appearance during sweeps week. You're bigger than that.
Oh, and that girl's name is Lily in the movie.
Yes, her character's name is Lily, the girl.
So
Yes, she appears with Dr. Therapist Lady.
Dr. Therapist Lady.
Who's named June something.
Whatever. These
Whatever.
names.
Yeah.
And she has written a book, right?
Yes, so she is on there to sell her book.
Yes.
And that is how Johnny Carson guy keeps her going. Is he's like, you're going to sell so many copies of Michelle Remembers. Like, you're going to be so famous. This is going to be so good for you guys. Like, being pretty manipulative and shitty in those moments. Like,
Yeah, he was. Because that was the thing. She was expressing discomfort. She was, even before they appeared, she was like, I don't know if this is right. Like, I don't know if we want to do this. I liked that dichotomy of, like, she's feeling protective of Lily, but she still is ultimately exploiting her for her book. But I loved the, like, tension that it's kind of like both things can be true.
Yeah.
She actually does care and, like, somewhat wants to protect this girl, and she is profiting off of her story and, like, public appearances with her. And I liked that because, like, human behavior is complicated.
It is
And it's
complicated,
not
yeah.
always black and white. And I'm like, I liked that, like, it felt to me like both things were true. She had that hesitancy, but she didn't stand firm. She was talked into that appearance. She was talked into, summoning Mr. Wriggles or whatever.
Yes, Mr.
And, yeah.
Mr. Howdy.
Yeah, Captain Howdy.
Captain Howdy. Yeah, it's like, I think that's a big theme of the movie is like, what are you willing to sell?
Yes.
Like, what will you do for fame? Because you have Kristoff, who's like clearly mostly a charlatan.
Yeah, basically a hack. Like,
He's
he's
just a
gotten some
hack.
fame, so he's at least appearing on a late night show, but
Yeah, then
no
you
one
have
will remember him in 2
you have
years.
Reform Hack, who's just like as hacky
Yes.
in his
Yeah.
new shtick.
Yeah, he's got a new shtick, but he's still
He's the same.
so annoying.
It's the same
Yeah.
shit.
Also just trying to make a buck and get his name and face out there.
Yes, like he's clearly like the most like media smarmy
Yeah.
of any of the guests. And then you have Dr. Therapist Lady, who is selling out this girl for her book, where you could tell she probably like has convinced herself that this is like the good thing, and I adopted her and raised her, and it's like
those things like may be true, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but also
there's-
like let that girl go to like normal school.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
let her be more normal.
Let her
But
not
I mean,
be
if it-
studied for your personal
I would just imagine
gain.
it was like, oh, well, she's going into the foster care system, and so therapist lady was like, no, I don't want that. Here, I can spell, saw the opportunity as well, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt some element of like care for her.
Oh yeah,
But it
I
would've
think she
felt
does.
better if
Yes.
it was
She
like,
does
oh,
care.
I would like to adopt you and raise you, but not exploit you. But that's not the movie, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting because you really watch. She's the character who most grapples with that throughout the movie. You really see her wrestling with that in real time of like, how far am I going to let this go to sell this book and like get this fame?
Which is interesting because you don't see that from Jack, because you would.
Yeah, but Jack I love because like he does have this journey. You just kind of find out, it's kind of behind the scenes. You find out at the end of the movie.
Sort of. I mean,
Yeah.
they make it pretty clear, but it's still not just said
It's not
to
explicit,
you. Yeah, it's
yeah.
not explicit. So she comes on, she does kind of an interview, and then Jack is like, let's do an interview with Abraxas. And
Let's get Dr. Wriggles to
yeah,
come out and play.
yeah, Captain Wriggles is gonna come join, and then Dr. Therapist Lady's like, no, and he convinces her to do it. So her hands are not clean here. Like she
Yeah.
is the linchpin in this. She hypnotizes Lily.
Yeah, so Lily is strapped to a chair. There are restraints.
They tie her into the chair, which is giving some people like the co-host guy, the little like assistant guy,
Yeah.
is like
He is
not about
not
this.
Oh
about
yeah, well
that.
he's like afraid of all this and like,
He is me.
yeah. Well, he was also proven right.
He was.
He was right to be afraid. But yeah, so like, and there was something earlier about like how the crew is getting freaked out backstage.
They said some of the crew was like, well, they leave later.
Yeah, but first they were just getting freaked out because of like the chair with the restraints backstage. They're seeing that, and there was like the knife. There was some like
There is
ceremonial
a
knife, which is
knife.
like from this cult apparently that Lily
Yes.
was the survivor of. So like the crew has seen this backstage. They're like, I don't feel comfortable with this. This just seems dark, and like I know we want the ratings, but like this, I'm not comfortable with this.
And that is honestly so believable for the 70s.
Yeah.
Is they're like, this is a knife that was used to kill a bunch of people. Let's bring it on stage with the girl who is traumatized by it. Like the
isn't it
70s would.
Yeah, we talked about how wild the 70s were in our last episode, and we probably will for everything related to the 70s.
It was truly a experimental time, and there was a lot of lead.
But there was no AI or DEI, so those are the good old days.
AI and DEI.
DEI, AI.
So we have them doing this interview. She becomes visibly possessed.
She levitates in the chair,
She
too.
levitates in the chair. She has freaky, like, exorcist Linda Blair makeup on. She has a
gets,
scary
like, cuts
voice.
on her face, yeah.
Yeah, she has a scary voice.
Her hair is, like, more matted, like, visibly, like, disheveled. Like,
Yeah.
there is a very...
She's hunched over a little more.
And then when she is taken out of the possession, she no longer appears that way. Because that's important later. Because Mr. Skeptic is like, we need to roll the tape.
Yeah. Because, yeah, he does. So Mr. Skeptic guy is like, oh, this is all bullshit. Look, I can do that too. And then he does the most insane sequence, like, in the movie.
Yes, which I really loved.
So he gets, like, the poor assistant guy who does not want to be there. Makes him, like, hypnotized.
Yeah, so he sits him in the chair on, like, the same setup. They're sitting, like, face to face in the chair. He takes out a pocket watch.
Yeah, and he does, like, the classic sort of, like, watch the clock as it turns into a swirly
You're
thingy.
getting sleepy. You
You're
need
getting
to
sleepy.
relax. Samantha, you need to relax.
Time's is up. I will
Sam.
not relax. I will not.
You shouldn't.
Which would have saved you.
Yes, it would have. And that's why I did it. That's why I did not relax, to save myself.
And, yeah, so he then he gets him to say that he's, like, afraid of worms, and then he convinces the guy that he is... got a bunch of worms in him. He's filled
like,
with
well,
worms.
there's a cut on your neck. And the guy says, oh, yeah, I cut myself shaving. And he's like, look closer.
There's
like,
something moving in
there's
there.
something moving in there. And it's this really nasty, like, prosthetic, like, well done, like, prosthetic effect.
It's so gross.
Of, like, the neck starts, like, squirming. And then he, like, pulls, like, one worm out.
Yeah, this is my nightmare.
Yeah, and then he's pulling, like, multiple worms out. And then, what is it? He, like, feels something in his chest, so he starts, like, taking off his shirt. He, like, opens his shirt.
And then he has a moment from Alien.
Yeah, he gets, like, full-on chest bursted by a big old nasty
giant,
worm.
giant worm. And in the theater, I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And then it was like,
Yeah.
psych, you've been hypnotized.
Yeah, you just
Audience.
got Dr. Debunked.
I also love that he says that the people at home would have been hypnotized by that too, which is so
Yeah.
goofy. Like, that's so
He's
70s.
like, I am that powerful.
I am
Yeah.
I am so powerful that people watching this at home saw the worms.
And it was great because, like, we the audience did see it.
Yeah, we got hypnotized
Yeah.
through the screen.
Yeah, so I, like, yes, it was hokey in, like, the perfect way.
It's
like,
so
yeah.
good. Yeah, I loved that.
But yeah, that was a really shocking moment because you're just like, what the fuck turn is this movie taking? Like, we got worms. This guy's not even possessed, and, like, he's got worms coming out of him. He has them play the tape back in the studio, and we see that none of that happened. Like, yes, he did have a slight cut while shaving. There were no worms. He did open his shirt, and he screamed, but not, like, there was no, he didn't get chest bursted by a big worm.
And then the doctor therapist lady goes, okay, roll back our tape. What did you think of the effects in this movie?
I really liked them. I really liked that, like, final demon appearance of the girl.
Oh.
It was so weird.
It was so different.
Her head kind of split open, but, like, the
Yes.
eyes were, like, way to the side, kind of. But it's
She's
kind of
looking
blurry,
at ya.
and it's distorted. Yeah, and she's just kind of, like, always looking at, like, the camera, but it's like these big demonic eyes, and it's still kind of her body. Yeah, it was really freaky, and I loved that it was just different.
Yeah.
Like, it was scary, and it wasn't just like the demon we've seen a million times. It was really just felt like otherworldly evil, and, like, we don't even know what this demon actually looks like. This is just how it's being picked up by this camera.
And it's also how it's supposed to be perceived in order to, like, because this is sort of like a visual infection.
Yes.
Right? Like, this is supposed to spread abraxasness to the people who see it.
Right, like,
And
this
that's
may have been
why-
sort of the ultimate aim of the cult.
Oh, that's possible.
This is kind of what I thought may have been hinted at. And, like, she was supposed to be the sole survivor so that she could, like, get that attention and, like, spread Abraxas.
I love that.
There's not evidence to support it, but I thought that was at least
No,
like,
that
a
seems
possibility.
very plausible. Because she's hamming for that camera the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
she knows where they all are. She's speaking into them.
Oh, yeah, she's down. She's like, oh, we can show them. Like, I don't mind showing them Mr. Wriggles.
How much of Lily do you think is still in there?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Oh, like, very little.
What if it's a lot? What
That's
if she
scarier.
is evil?
Oh, you think that she's
What if?
evil?
Yeah,
I don't
what
know.
if? I don't know.
Well, she could because, like, but it would be like she's been groomed by this cult to
Yeah.
have those aims, but be like a true believer because she grew up in it and, like,
Because I don't want to be that person on this podcast. But for those who are very religious and get a hint, I'm not. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say this.
This is a podcast about gay people. I think you can
But
dunk
it's like,
on religious
what
people
about
if you want.
the truly, like, out there people who would be like, yeah, if Jesus said, come be my body and show me to the world, they'd be like, yes.
Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah, I've seen that movie
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, I'm just saying, like, maybe she was way more into it than
She grew up in the church.
originally thought.
Yeah, I mean, if there is a lot of her still in there, then that's definitely the case. Because she was very willing to, like, Dr. Lady was the one having doubts.
Yeah.
Lily was all in.
See, I think it's possible there is no Lily and that she was Abraxased
Like, the Lily
during
is all
the
an
ceremony,
act.
and
Yeah.
it was all an act
I
to
love that.
con Dr. Therapist Lady into writing this book to get that profile to spread the Abraxas.
That was more my take, was that, like, since she was acting so creepy from the get-go,
Yeah, because even when she's not...
it was almost like she didn't know how to be a person more so than, like,
Yes.
I'm acting creepy. It
She
was just
seemed like a
I'm on TV, so I look at the camera. I smile, so I look presentable.
And she was talking to the host guy like she had spoken to him before.
Yeah.
Yes,
Just
she
like, "Hi,
kept doing
Jack."
that.
Which, like,
Like, hi, Jack, I'm happy to see you, or
as
whatever.
far as he knows,
Oh.
he's never talked to her before, but he's probably talked to Abraxas at Bohemian Grove.
Yes, which is sort of a
So-
late reveal, right?
Yes. Although you start getting that, like, vibe early on.
The first real inclination of, like, his backstory that's sort of like a flashback, they show a clip from a previous episode where his dying wife was on the show. And she was, like,
Oh,
talking... It's really, really sad, actually,
Yeah.
that scene. Because she's, like, having trouble speaking. Clearly, she's, like, so sick. They're, like, holding hands. She's talking about when they met. Like,
It
he came
reminds me
backstage
of
at a show.
Suspiria when her mom is, like, super ill, and it's just like...
Yes, that labored breathing and, like, I don't know what you guys thought of, like, that relationship. Because he really, like, seemed sad and, like, he was going through, like, moral conflict during that interview. You know what I mean?
That's when he was seeing how much
Yeah.
he would sell.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's, like, the theme.
Yeah, I think that's
It's
what
like,
I think
how much
too.
will you give up of yourself, like, to get this fame or
Yeah.
whatever?
So to make it explicit, I felt the implication was that he had made an agreement with Abraxas at Bohemian Grove, because he's like, we met before in the tall trees, or something like that.
Yeah.
Abraxas says that to him, and that he, in order to achieve fame, and probably like just like I want to beat Carson during sweeps.
Oh my God,
week.
you think that he sold his wife off?
Maybe.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
That was my
there's-
thinking.
'Cause-
Or like he maybe didn't know that was the pact. It was just like, will you give
Like
what
any-
I require? Or like, you know,
what you most cherish,
Yes, right.
sure.
I was wondering if it was some vague like demonic thing like that, and he like either like was realizing that he had sold his wife. I thought there might have been some
Like at
angle
the
to
end when he
that.
replays it.
Yeah.
So I think.
There's-
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I looked this up and I kind of looked it up lightly earlier, but it's the whole deal's he indirectly caused her cancer because of what he was, you know, because he wanted that fame. Like exactly what you were saying. Like, I think it is confirmed in the movie, although I don't remember it. This is just from like reading other stuff about it that
Okay.
he did indirectly cause that cancer.
Okay.
Through
that was
his
what I
deal
felt.
making?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that was at least my takeaway. I didn't.
It
I
got
never-
the feels.
If
I
there was
missed
something,
where was it.
Yeah, if there was something
explicitly said.
explicit, I didn't pick
Yeah.
up on it, but that was like how I left feeling.
Also,
Yeah.
I do want to point out, because I'm a huge Fringe fan, that the wife is played by Georgina Haig, who was in Fringe.
Who was she in Fringe? Because I've
she
seen it so
was,
many times, but I have face blindness for bland-looking white people.
She
Can be honest.
It's
you
no,
can be
I got
honest
it.
here. This is
So
safe
she
space.
plays. She's only in a few episodes. She plays the daughter of Peter and Olivia.
Oh.
And like maybe like the season finale of the second to last season, and then like the beginning of the last season.
Okay. Because like everyone talks about how like Meghan Markle was on Fringe, and I literally didn't remember
Oh, it was
that.
like one. It was like a few minutes of one episode.
Yeah, I don't. It's like, I'm sorry. That's why I like actors like David Dastmalchian, or however you say his name. Is I
Yeah.
like weird looking people because I can like
too.
focus on the interesting parts of their face and then remember them. And I
Yes.
don't fare well with just like really commercially pretty normal looking people.
Oh, yeah. My anecdote is always that I saw the movie Everest, and it's just endless white men in full like snowsuits and goggles, and I was like, I think this movie is good, but y'all, I don't know who anyone is.
Yeah. And so the woman who played his wife and the woman who played doctor therapist lady kind of looked the same to me, except of course the wife had like
Yeah, they did. They
shaved
did look a bit
head
similar
and
to me.
maybe that was on purpose. Maybe it was
Yeah.
like, oh, he's replacing her so quickly. Like this is all
Like, then
in
I
his
think
head.
people have types. Like that definitely didn't seem like weird to me. It was like you kind of would
And who
imagine.
knows?
That, like,
We don't know if there was overlap. We don't know.
I got the vibe that they
Spelled out.
were sleeping together.
I kind of did too, but
But yeah, no, it's like not as made clear. So yeah, so basically they have this interview with Abraxas, all hell breaks loose, and we now have Lily's head is split open.
and she's like
Pretty
killing
cool.
everyone. She twists that one guy's head around
Oh.
Yeah.
all the way. She like strangles Dr. Lady with her necklace.
I liked the electricity powers,
Me
like
too.
for a few
It's
reasons.
pretty
One,
cool.
again, it's like kind of different than how we normally see demons portrayed, and this whole thing is about like the demon channeling like TV to get its message
Yes.
spread. So it like having these electricity powers, and it's showing as this sort of like Technicolor light
Yeah,
sort of
that's like spectrum over
spectrum.
her.
Is just such a cool, different, creative
Yeah.
idea.
And that makes me think like that's so like maybe that was like Jack's fault is like he almost introduced the demon to this like at least having an avenue of using TV as this mass dissemination media. Like that was like the best deal Braxis ever made because then he gets access to
Yeah.
like there's millions of viewers during
Yeah.
sweepstakes that he would have never had if he had made a deal with this
Yeah.
man.
Oh shit, you're right, because
Like it's really Jack's fault. Like
Abraxas was probably just relying on the book.
Yeah.
And then he got to TV.
because he got all those people to see this girl get full Abraxasized.
And so, yeah, so then we have David Dastmalchian goes into sort of a trippy, sort of like adventure.
Yeah, like flashback adventure type thing.
Yeah, so he's like in memories again, but like disoriented and looks kind of sick.
Yeah, it's like he's almost like cycling through time almost.
But before all this happens, I want to say there is a moment where they have to cut Lily out of the chair. So they take that knife
Oh yeah.
and they cut it, and then they put the knife right next to Lily.
I know on
Right.
the table.
On
Right.
the table.
I know.
And I was like,
concerned.
Chekhov's Abraxas knife. Like, you know that shit is getting used later. And then
And it sure as fuck did.
by the time you see it again, you're like, oh, that's where, like, that's why it's there.
Yes, because after his whole like trippy thing where he's like back with his dead wife, and then he's like back in a sketch from his show where they were like doing some stupid
Caveman
sketch.
sexist
Yeah,
thing.
some really horrible looking sketch, and like a few other things. He like kind of comes out of this like trance or whatever, and he has stabbed Lily to death.
Well, because he thought it was his wife, right? And she was like, kill me. Wasn't that what was
I
happening?
think it was.
Like, yeah, because his
check.
wife was like,
Yeah. Yeah, she says, "Please, like, put me out of my misery.
Yeah.
I'm in so much pain." So she like induces him to like pick up the knife and stab what he thinks is his wife. But at that moment that he stabs, it turns out it's Lily, and it's the camera's been filming the whole time.
which was the whole point,
Yeah.
right? Like, Abraxas tricked him into killing this little girl on live TV during sweeps week.
And Jack did get those ratings.
He got him. He did.
Like
Everyone, what were they called? The Nielsen
Nielsen TV ratings. Yeah.
I want to say when I was a kid, I thought it was based on Leslie Nielsen.
Oh.
And it,
I wish.
What if it was?
I want to live in that world. I want the Leslie Nielsen TV ratings.
That's so cute.
dreamed of getting one of those boxes, those Nielsen boxes when we were kids.
Oh, yeah.
Because you would like hook them up to your TV and it would like record it.
I kind of did too. I was like, what if I
But now I would never have that because I don't watch cable.
Me neither, but I dream of like a streaming equivalent because I'm like, I want to be a tastemaker. I want America to watch what I want to watch. And I want to show America that this is what I need more
And
of.
here's the start.
We would have another season of brand new cherry flavor.
We
if
sure as
I-
fuck would because I've seen it several times and I recommend
what
it
it
to
is.
everyone.
You've not recommended it to me in my memory.
I may have,
Okay.
but I also may not have because it is real gross.
We'll
You
save it for the
didn't
pod.
then. You're very.
Yeah, we'll save it
okay.
probably for an episode because I really love this show. It's on Netflix, but yeah, it's a lot.
So the movie's over, and
Yeah, Jack. They're like police sirens are approaching. Jack is standing there having stabbed Lily.
So what did y'all think? I mean, it sounds like we all liked it.
Oh yeah.
I liked it a lot. And I promise you, I opened my eyes when the worms started. So I was very tense during the relaxation part, but I watched the rest of it.
No, you were
Eyes
good
were
actually.
open.
You,
Proud
yeah,
of you.
I just need to know. I just need to know.
Yeah. Once the like what it was that was gross and scary
Right.
became apparent.
Then I'm like, okay,
yeah.
I can handle it. But yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. I've been telling people about it this past few days since I've seen it. I enjoyed it, and it was spooky. It was scary.
Yeah.
And it had me thinking. And I love a creepy like cult deal. A cult
Me
deal.
too. I
love
love
it.
cult shit because I find it so fascinating and
It is
scary.
fascinating.
So even though like the cult wasn't the main focus, like I always love that angle. And yeah, I really loved how there were like metaphorical undertones and like lots of stuff like dots to connect yourself and things to think about. And it didn't spell it out and it wasn't just like the monster is trauma, which I'm a little over. Like every fucking indie movie in the past like 10 years has been like the monster is actually the trauma of the character, which is fine, but it just doesn't need to be like so front and center in every movie. And I liked that this like had a little more to say and a little more subtlety.
I wish you were a better ally for the Babadook.
I've not seen that one yet.
Oh my god,
That's too
what an
scary.
accusation to level at me right now.
Spoiler, it's
I've
a
already-
trauma
yeah.
monster.
And I really love that movie, so
And
like
the
that's not-
Babadook is gay,
yeah,
canonically.
because the movie was put for some reason in like LGBT film category on Netflix.
Yeah, so
Why?
So people like dress as the Babadook for Pride, and they're like, Babadook's an ally, Babadook's gay,
I love that.
queer AF.
he's in the community.
Yeah, he's in the community.
So a question that I had for y'all, because I thought that this movie did what was essentially like a seance scene, right? Like speaking to a ghost, speaking to the demon. What are some other seance scenes that you love?
Yeah, so this is maybe a kind of obscure one, but one that immediately comes to mind is another Netflix horror show called Archive 81.
I knew it!
Yeah. I just really loved that seance scene. It doesn't necessarily do anything that different from others.
I think it is like the
but
scariest
it's
seance
so scary,
scene I've
and
ever
it
seen.
escalates to such an insane level.
Another show that got
Like-
canceled immediately.
Oh, that one hurt too.
Netflix, fuck
But
you.
that seance like fucked me up and I really loved it.
Like, I didn't really
That was
like
really
that
scary.
show that much, but that seance scene is like one of the best.
That was definitely like the
I've
high point
ever
for me.
seen.
Yeah, I thought that was incredible. I'm trying to think of some other good ones.
Did you see that Brooklyn? It's like Brooklyn.
I did.
40,
Brooklyn 1947 or something.
Or the one that's like the post World
Yeah,
War.
the vets and their gathering and
yeah, I thought that one was fun.
yeah, that was good.
A big one for me is Drag Me to Hell.
Yes.
I think
With
that
the
was
Lamia's fucking
so
shit up in
funny.
the room. Yes. Oh, I absolutely
I did see that one,
love
but
Drag Me to
a
Hell.
long time ago.
Did you what? So what are some you've seen? You seen The Exorcist?
I have seen The Exorcist, but
That-
I did pick a seance one from the horror classic The Sopranos.
Oh.
There was a seance scene,
Was
there?
there?
and I looked at this is saying the wrong scene. Here we go. Season 4, episode 11, where AJ, Tony's
Oh
son,
God, AJ.
is bullying. I think it's a guy named Bobby, his 2 kids whose mom had just died.
Oh,
And
Bobby,
they're
our train king.
Ouija boarding and then seancing.
I forgot about that.
So that's what I wanted to bring up. Not that it's my favorite, but that I brought one up.
No, it's good to bring the
prepared.
Sopranos
you get,
into
you
this
get
podcast.
full marks. You technically did the assignment for a participation grade.
A teenager / young adult being an asshole to kids. So yeah.
There is a horror in that.
Yeah.
I do remember that scene. And that's not even like
so.
the worst thing that happens to that family.
No.
Because it's Janice.
Janice!
So
She's
I
Alexis.
think there was a pretty tense scene in maybe Insidious where she's like wearing a gas mask.
yeah,
And
Insidious
that like gas
was
mask
good.
just kind of added to the tension. Like that was well done. James Wan is just a really good director. So
And what's her name? Lynn
Lin Shaye.
will also be at the HorrorCon.
Yes.
But yeah, no, she's so good in that. I think
Yeah.
that one was excellent. I mean, I do love a seance / Ouija board scene. And unlike Brett, I would never fuck with a Ouija board.
Thank you.
I would not.
I'm too scared.
I don't believe, but you know what? I am not a gambler.
What if?
I am not a gambler. When we went to go see the Candyman movie, did we go together?
Yeah, the
and,
new Candyman.
And you were like saying it over and over
I
again
said it
into
to myself in the mirror in the
in
car.
the
on
mirror
way
in the
there.
car, and I was like, no thanks, no.
I was like,
Pass.
this is like a movie by a man that's based on a short story by another man. It's not even like folklore. It's like a fictional, and I'm like,
I don't
Ouija
care.
boards are made by
What?
Parker Brothers as a toy for children. I think the difference is like, you guys are both like, you both live as if your characters in horror movies.
Excuse me.
Well,
Sorry,
right?
no, continue. What?
your reaction proves it.
I'm
Your
scared.
characters
I'm
in horror
scared. What was the
movies,
question again? I'm already
You
scared.
both live as if your characters
I
in horror
am.
movies.
Oh, okay, 'cause-
And I don't. I'm the
Oh,
character.
okay.
I don't think I'm in a horror movie. I'm skeptical. I'll fuck with whatever because I genuinely don't believe in this stuff, and I don't think I live in a horror movie.
Is it because
anxiety's just not
Samantha is DEI
I
and
am
would
very
die
DEI.
early, and
I'm
I'm
100%.
annoying and a clown, and I would also die early?
I would get DEI'd
if I
so
was over there?
early. DEI. Yeah, and I was gonna spell that. I was
DEI,
gonna spell
yeah.
died, and then I got goofed up.
Yeah, you can't
Um,
spell die without DEI.
All right, we're canceling the podcast. This is the final episode. Thank you for tuning in. But yeah, no, I think I would be the first to die because I'm the one who doesn't think he's in a horror movie. I'm not taking the threat seriously.
Oh.
But 99 times out of 100, you're not in a horror movie. Like, I feel confident
one.
in how I live, and like, I'm not afraid of Ouija boards.
Well, if
You
we
would-
are
you
in
check
one,
the
can I
sounds?
go first? Because my deal, and I said this I think on the last episode, is if it's looking like I'm gonna get killed, do it quick. Just kill me quick. At the beginning of the movie.
You've been very clear about that.
Thank you.
You don't
So,
want the extended chase
before
scene.
you-
Noted.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, are we done talking about this movie?
I think so, yeah. So that was Late Night with the Devil.
We all liked it.
recommend.
It would have been better without the AI, but
But that lasted like very little of the runtime. And
Very small percentage of the movie.
not a big deal.
yeah.
Just don't do it again.
Yeah. Well, and they probably won't because there was backlash and review bombing. And even though I think it's doing fairly well financially, I'm sure it's at least been like a warning to others of like certain demographics. Like there are fans who
Just
like
be
will
careful.
be pissed and like will like beat everyone to the punch. And like the first post on Letterboxd will be, you have to boycott this movie because there's AI art, which was like the first thing I saw.
And
when
as
it
we
was released.
know, you should listen to people on Letterboxd.
I try not to.
Especially me. You can find my handle
There you go.
at HaterTaught on Letterboxd. You can find us on Insta at queer and loathing pod, and nowhere else yet. But you should like our podcast, give us a 5-star review, no less than that, or
Give
else
us 5 thumbs or
Yes.
1 star up.
how many
give us a
hallucinations?
follow.
Yeah, 2 thumbs on each
2
hand.
thumbs up your butt. Like that's we need.
my God.
We need it
Okay.
all. Well,
We'll take what we can get.
yeah, we'll take what we can get. That's what we're saying.
And until next time,
I'm queer.
and I am loathing.
And I'm Samantha.
Later.